Welcome back to the Fire Emblem Awakening playthrough. Last time we recruited one of the weirder child characters, but still, he'll be useful once we've trained him. This time, that's kind of exactly what we're going to do to start off with. I actually may need to grind him quite a bit in skirmishes, if all the skirmishes don't disappear off of the map. Okay, how many skirmishes are there? Let me just check. Okay, there's one there. And that's the only one on the entire map. Okay. I wonder how many levels I can grind up Brady there. So as you can see from the last chapter, I reclassed him to Mage. But his stats are still basically what they'd be at level 10 anyway, so I'm probably not going to need to grind him all the way to level 20 before I promote him. But I will want to get him to at least level 10 so he learned his second Mage skill. And I'll see what happens there. The good thing is you can actually check what kind of stats your character will have when they promote just by, hovering over the class options on the Master Seal menu. So once I judge those stats to be good enough, then I'll probably promote him. But first, the only supports we got out of that chapter were with Brady, but he actually has some of my favourite supports in the game, so first I'll do his one with Maribel.
Come now.
She's giving him proper etiquette lessons.
What? Clearly.
This is one of those conversations that, in Japanese, it was probably dealing with different, speaking styles. It actually still works in English. It's one of the few that does, because Maribel has an ultra-refined way of speaking, and, so she can, of course, be a bit more pedantic about proper grammar here.
You know?
Wretched beast.
Huh?
Clearly.
Yeah, so people who speak like a thug all the time are obviously bad guys.
No.
Yeah, it reminds me of a certain something from, I think it was one of the Mega Man Battle Network games. You have to act like a bad guy, and the way you do it is just saying yo all the time. Maybe these lines make a bit more sense in Japanese, though.
So sorry.
You want some?
Okay, and then this next line coming up is one of my favorite lines in any support. Maribel, I think you're missing the point there. I think you're really missing the point.
Huh?
Yeah. Also that, by the way, is probably why this game has a higher rating than most other Fire Emblem games. Anyway, this support, though, I like this even more.
What's that? Listen. Can it? You want some?
That's kind of interesting considering his S support with Maribel. Again, this is where the downsides of generic father supports come in.
Huh?
This one shows that Maribel's actually kind of a troll. Which is pretty amusing, considering how refined she acts normally. And this next line is also one of my favorites. I just can imagine this line sounds. You just sit there and drink your damn tea!
Yeah.
And then he comes back and says that. I love this support. I love this support. So, yeah, now he has some C supports to his name. Might as well check the barracks. Now, something that I want to mention is, and this is going to be very, very late because these videos are recorded quite far in advance. So, this is going to seem, oh, hi, look, it's the character erased from history. And another character erased from history on the bottom screen. So people told me when the Lawrence Paralogue episode went up that they warned me that Cordelia's birthday was soon. Lucina just really wants that cookie. Oh hey, the two healers in this battle talking. Well, we're just at a place of worship anyway. People were saying about, were warning me not to miss Cordelia's birthday, and the problem is, I did. The reason for that is, not only are my videos recorded quite far ahead of time, and that's only because, due to crappy Australian internet, I take, like, 24 hours to upload a video. It's really bad. Like, we have worse internet than, I think, Romania or something. There are a ton of obscure countries that have better internet than we do. It's insane. But anyway, due to that, videos take ages to go up, so the day that I upload a video is a long way after it's been recorded. But secondly, for most of you here, because I'm guessing not many people in Australia watch these videos, my dates are one day ahead of yours. Australia's dates are one day ahead of America and a lot of other countries on the international date line, so if you're warning me about a birthday, you'll actually have to warn me, I think, yeah, a day before, because my dates are actually one ahead of yours. And because of that, I may have missed Cordelia's birthday, which is annoying. But the next birthday is Owain, and I'm definitely not going to miss that one, so look forward to that. Anyway, I'm just going to try grind here. How to level up low-level Mage Brady without really trying. Step 1. Form Wall. Step 2. Unequip all units on wall, thereby blocking off all of these enemies and stopping them from ever getting any further. Step 3. Have Brady stand behind everything and attack. Preferably paired up so you get the benefit of dual strikes. Rinse and repeat until satisfied. Oh, by the way, Olivia also just learned Special Dance, which gives a stat buff to anyone that she dances for, so yeah, not only are you increasing your mobility, you're also slightly increasing people's stats, so next her dance is even more effective. Also, on the enemy phase, some of the enemies will generally avoid targeting Brady because the AI prioritizes attacking people who can't counterattack, like, say, Crom here, or the unequipped meat shield on the wall. So, yeah, this might take a while, but eventually he will be leveling up quite a lot out of this. Just gotta make sure I keep that nice, tasty experience, rich entombed, alive. So unfortunately, Brady was just off promoting, which is really, really annoying. But as you can see, level 9 Mage, those stats are good enough that I can pretty much promote him right where he hits level 10. In fact, when he does, the game would technically consider him level 20 unpromoted anyway because of the way... well, roughly level 20 unpromoted due to the way that the leveling system works in this. I might make a video describing the leveling system in this game. It's actually kind of complicated because they do take into account all the levels that you gain when reclassing, so effectively Brady is basically level 19 now. Anyway though, enough about that, because I've decided that we are in fact going to take on this Paralogue. This Paralogue is often considered one of the hardest child Paralogues in the game if you want to get everything out of it. There are actually a few choices that you can make in this one to determine how easy or how hard it is for you. And you'll see why when we go into the chapter itself. Paralogue 13, Rival Bands. How fitting that the 13th one is the... well, it's both lucky and unlucky, you'll see. So anyway, we have a reused portrait who leads the Stonewall Knights
What?
versus another reused portrait who leads the Riders of Dawn.
My lord.
So the basic Paralogue excuse plot that you have here is two bands of mercenaries are fighting over one area. But the nearby villagers will pay if we let this come to bloodshed, so we're gonna have to stop them. Well, yeah, probably is. So, we have an interesting choice to make in this chapter. Hey, maybe this is like the precursor to Fire Emblem Fates. Actually, no, the precursor to Fates was the Samson and Aaron choice in Fire Emblem 1, although I personally believe that Sacred Stones was a much better precursor to Fates with its Erica and Ephraim story route choices. But anyway, we have two groups of enemies here. The Stonewall Knights, which obviously use a lot of generals and more on-foot units like sages and swordmasters, led by this guy, who is basically just your generic violent mercenary leader, versus the Riders of Dawn, who are currently considered NPCs, and they have a bunch of horseback units, including some Valkyries. These Valkyries are pretty tough, led by Dalen, who is harder to find because he doesn't have a boss marker on him, who has the exact same description as the other guy. Now, the thing with this map is, the view map option here basically lies to you about how many enemies there are, and that's why this chapter is actually really jerkish. So, looks like there's 11 mercenaries on one side, 11 on the other, so that's only 22 units that you have to fight, right? Wrong! Very, very wrong. However, amidst these mercenaries, we have this guy. Say hello to possibly my favourite child character in the game, and I am extremely biased, because he was my avatar's son in my first playthrough, so I had to actually do this Paralogue way earlier than you're meant to in my first run of the game, and yeah, it was kind of painful. Anyway though, he inherited lethality from Gaius. Hopefully he can put that to good use. Now, he is allied with the Stonewall Knights, which is actually perfectly fitting, seeing as how much I love generals, and, well, my avatar's son was allied with them. Perfect, I couldn't be more proud. But that means that he will be an enemy by default, but if you choose to ally with them, he'll be an NPC instead. So if you want to recruit him more easily, then do that, but you actually don't need much trouble recruiting him, and you'll see why when I begin the chapter. Now, Maribel, Rickan, and their son have already done quite a lot lately, so I'll leave them out of this. You actually do not want low defense in this chapter at all, because you're going to have to weather a huge amount of enemy attacks here. Kellam and Tharia, the thing about Kellam is he's going to have trouble with all the enemy magic users. If you get doubled by one of those Valkyries or Sages, it is pretty much all over. Now, in order to do this chapter to the fullest of our abilities and get every possible reward out of it, we're going to need as much raw power as possible, and that means Donald is coming with us. That means we're bringing along the whole Mary Sue family. Gary Stu, Mary Sue, and Lucina. We're going to need every bit of power we can get here. Also, we're going to bring Lissa, Longku, because we haven't used him in a while, not Sairi, she'll get her chance later, and Owain, for we need his mighty power on our side. Without our his sword hand, we shall surely perish. Now, I can kind of get rid of Stahl here. I'd like Shell and Sully. The reason why I'm bringing Sully here is because she has better resistance, and that's going to help because Shell needs a bit of help in the resistance department. Now, so wait, Lissa, Wayne, Longku, I have one more slot, and I need to bring both Pan and Gaius. Who's here who should be here? Unfortunately, it's Olivia. Sorry, we'll use Olivia later, but not just yet. Gonna bring both Pan and Gaius, obviously, because we're recruiting their son now. So, one thing just to warn you about Yarne, though. And this is something that I should have done in this playthrough, but I just didn't want to overgrind. If I was grinding, I would have actually grinded Pan. I would have second sealed her to Wyvern Rider and leveled her up in that class to learn some skills from there. The reason for that is, Yarne is incredibly bizarre as far as child characters go in this game. Despite Wyvern Rider not being a gender-exclusive class, the game treats it as if it was one for Yarne's inheritance, and he can't actually inherit the class set. Because of that, if Yarne's father does not have the Wyvern Rider as a class option, which is the case for Gaius, you want to make sure Pan passes down a skill from it, because that's the only way he'll be able to get those skills. I can't do that because I'm making an effort not to grind. Anyway, what I said when you probably won't need to make much of an effort to recruit Yarne is, if you put Pan here, she can recruit him on the first turn, no problem, so that's fine. Now, I want Lucina to be all the way over here, because her rapier is going to be really useful on this side of the map. Mary Sue and Gary Sue will be on this side, as will Owain and Long Ku. Donald and Noi will head to this end of the map. Yeah, Gary Sue needs to go over there. Gaius can get to Pan, right? As long as Donald can get to Noe there, or would I be able to... They both have the same movement anyway, so it's basically exactly identical. Anyway, Lissa there, Lucina there. And you're all the way over there. I can't really do that. Okay. Doesn't really matter where Lissa is, because she'll be kind of in the center anyway. I'm gonna need her rescue staff, though, so good thing I brought one of those. Speaking of good thing I brought one of those, I'm gonna need a physics staff. Well, I mean, Lissa can actually use Fortify. That actually might be useful here. I am going to bring one of those, because, yeah, we're going to have a lot of damage spread around different parts of the map, so Fortify might be really useful. Also, Morgan picked up Micaiah's pyre off-screen, just from the barracks, so that might be kind of useful if I need it. As for weapons, we're going to want beast killers, definitely. We also now might be a very good time to take that noble rapier. You're fine. Oh yeah, also, armor slayers. We want armor slayers here too. Definitely going to want both beast killers and armor slayers, and I'm going to give the second one to Long Ku because he has less strength than Owain, so he kind of needs damage boost more. Anyway, let's see. I think this should be enough. Okay. I'm really nervous for this chapter because, well, you're about to see why. So, when we fight, we have to make a choice here. Giral is trying to recruit us to his side. Now, normally, I would join the Stonewall Knights without a second thought, because, you know, I like generals, I like defense, and I definitely like knights in big armor, but in order to get everything from this chapter, so look at the bottom screen carefully, there are 4 villages on this map. If you side with one of the armies but not the other, 2 of those villages will close their doors and you won't be able to get the items from them. So, we're not assisting the Red Army.
Hey. Listen.
Really? You know what? I don't like you either. We're not siding with you either.
What?
This is actually a bit of a guide, dang it, because I don't think the game makes it obvious that you can side with neither. But that is the option you want to pick if you want to get every possible reward out of this chapter. But it will make the chapter a lot harder. So that's just a warning. And in fact, the game is so concerned about you doing this, the game will actually ask you for confirmation twice. And there's a good reason why you have to confirm twice, because if you do...
Are you ready?
Both Both sides receive immediate masses of reinforcements. Guess how many enemies are on the map now? 46. And they're all clustered in one big area. This map, if you pick the route where you fight both of the armies, is incredibly brutal. So I'm going to make a precautionary save right here. If you are just concerned about recruiting Yarne and you don't want too much trouble, definitely a good idea just to choose to side with one of them, because this chapter will be a lot easier if you do. But if you're concerned about experience and items like I am, you're going to have to do this the hard way. Okay, first things first. This is making me very, very nervous, but we're going to go and talk to Pan's son.
You.
You'll notice right off the bat that he is very different from his mother. Also, unlike a lot of the other children, his hair color doesn't completely change to match his father. He just has one little tuft of hair in his father's color.
Well... What?
Well, it's easy. See, you don't need any rings in this case. It's pretty easy for him to tell who his mother is, seeing as well she's the only other Targwell in existence. Oh yeah, we're gonna believe how dangerous it is pretty soon.
Right.
This is one of the first times you see her actually not that stoic. And immediate recruitment. What I am going to do, though, is... I'm going to transfer Pan over to... Actually, wait a minute. No, I'm not. I'm going to actually transfer Gaius over. And that's because... If any one of Pius or... I did it again! Pius and Garne. If any one of them stands here and doesn't get rescue staffed immediately, they are going to die unless they're very over-leveled, so I don't want that. I'm going to actually have to protect Yarne by switching over to Gaius here, equipping the Armor Slayer just in case, and I'm going to need to rescue staff Pan right now. But before we do that, always stay in the woods during this chapter if at all possible. Believe me, you really, really want to take that advice. Stay in woods. Definitely stay in woods. You'll be glad you did. Now from here, we do a few more pair-ups. Once again, staying in the woods. And might as well leave with Lonku. I haven't actually used him in a while. Okay, now, whenever you're using Shell and Sully, be very careful of those Valkyries, because they have... Wait a minute. You know what? I think the, okay, so the Valkyries that started on the map, yeah, they only have arc tomes. The ones that spawned as reinforcements, though, they suddenly have better weapons, because, well, yeah, enemy cheating and all that. I am not going to be able to get... I actually could still get there, though. Let's see. Donnie goes here, and Noe pairs up with him. Equipping the short spear now is good because it lets her counterattack the enemy magic users. And right now, I have to rescue Pan immediately. She normally wouldn't need it, but these Stonewall Knights are downright brutal, as you're about to see. Yeah, they hit really, really hard, and even Pan tends to die in about 2 hits to them.
My turn.
Like I've been saying, you want to use Rapiers or Armor Slayers against them, because they'll take a lot of punishment from anything else. Well, anything else that isn't magic. Also, Rapiers are also effective against Cavalry, so... Lucina will be pulling double duty here, and she'll really need to.
I challenge my fate.
Yeah, she'll have to challenge her fate a lot this chapter, because she's going to be my main way to deal with all these enemies. Trust me, if I didn't rely on her extensively, this chapter would be next to impossible. Oh, he didn't say my favorite support quote that he has. And again, this is why you want Armor Slayers.
Huh.
Of course, they have a lot of Bow Knights as well. So yeah, Rapiers are very good in this chapter because they're effective against both the Riders of Dawn and the Stonewall Knights. And eventually, both of them will kind of converge and attack you at the same time, and that's when this chapter gets really hectic. Not that it isn't hectic already, I mean, this is just... This chapter's basically a couple of turns of solid, extremely brutal fighting, so... I mean, only if you pick the hard option, but I mean, I'll always pick the hard option because I don't want to miss out on any items.
I've got your back.
And a lot of these ones have ranged weapons too, so... Thankfully, their Bow Knights also have physical weapons, so they might occasionally suicide themselves into Lucina like this.
I challenge my fate.
I don't know if I've said this before, I think I actually have. That's the line that Lucina was supposed to say in Smash Brothers when she uses her final smash. In the Japanese version, her line was identical to how it was in the game, but the English version of Smash Brothers forgot they'd already translated that line and changed it to time to change fate, which is a little bit more literal.
Go for it.
Yeah, these Bolga-known Valkyries are... Ow! This is why I packed the Fortify Staff.
No. I'm in your debt.
Sully's going to need to equip the Beast Killer soon. But at least that's one Valkyrie gone. And yes, this chapter makes me very, very nervous because lots of enemies incoming. And these forests don't slow down the cavalry as much as you'd think it would, so the Riders of Dawn have a pretty serious movement range, and yeah, they can rally resistance as well sometimes, so look at all those enemies! Oh, this chapter is just, it really makes me nervous. I mean, there's no wonder that, that Yarne turned out the way that he did when he has to deal with this kind of thing. Okay, what I want to do is transfer... Yeah, just do that. The annoying thing about this chapter, though, is because of the sheer brutality and the sheer number of the enemies here, you really can't afford to try and level up Yarne here. Because normally his Beastbane is really good against the Riders of Dawn. The problem is that he kind of dies quickly if you get it. Also, I love this. Synchronized Targ World Transformation!
You got this! And stay there!
Okay, definitely going to need to use the Fortify Staff this turn.
The Togwell must live.
Just got to make sure that everyone's in range. Again, I wish that Yarne would be getting the experience here, but I have to wait until the coast is clear before I use him. And how fitting for her to get such a good level up in the chapter where her son joins. The Targ will have one more member now. Okay, that's still Woods. Good. I think I can afford to use the regular rapier this time. But the noble rapier is basically overkill anyway.
Come on!
Thank you.
And we can buy regular rapiers now, but we can't buy noble ones. We will be able to buy noble ones eventually, but not until much later in the game. Now with that... Okay, yeah, Lucina's one level less than Crom, but look at this. She pretty much has higher stats than him in every way except for HP, so... Yeah, she outclasses him pretty quickly. Now, what I generally like doing is killing those Valkyries quickly, because they pose a real threat to, Pan. But for now... Actually, I probably will go ahead and do this. Hey, Shell is doubling things, that's cool.
I like it.
And I should have equipped the Beast Killer on Sully. Always forget to equip optimal weapons on Dual Strike sometimes. He's just out of range. Donald's stats are so good at this point that he can basically afford to not be on woods. He's pretty much the only one here who can, though. I'm not sure it's actually worth it switching Noe over. I mean, Donnelly's technically lower level, even though he's effectively by this point, so he got to level 15 as that, and then 20 as a mercenary. He's effectively, roughly... Yeah, he's kind of roughly level... That would be level 35 plus 4. He's roughly level 39 at this point, but the way that internal level is calculated is not exactly the sum of all levels in your classes, because some classes are treated as having... Yeah, levels count for more in some classes than they do in others, so it's a little bit complicated. Wayne does have higher evasion. As much as I want Longku to get more screen time, it's a Wayne time. Even the Armor Slayer is actually not doing all that much damage here. But that's about to change! Why did I ever doubt him?
Child's play.
That is pretty awesome. And with that, he's a level 5 assassin, and you know what that means? Yeah, Owain can make enemies instantly keel over and die from the sheer awesomeness of his voice. And with his skill stat as high as it is, this is going to activate quite a lot. Of course, it's not compatible with Astra though. So if you thought that Astra would give you 5 attacks, all of which would have a chance of activating lethality, no, sorry, it doesn't work like that. That would be a bit cheap.
I've got you.
There's actually, I'll explain this in more detail eventually, but there's actually a hierarchy of how activation skills work in this game. Basically, if a character has multiple activation skills, only one of them can activate per attack. And the game kind of rolls for them in a specific order. And Fortify time! Everyone suddenly restored to full health. I love this stuff. Its animation was particularly cool back in the Game Boy Advance games because there you basically had these little mini heal explosions all over the place. It looked pretty cool. I remember Renault came with that staff, and that was the first time I ever saw the staff, and I always thought that it was pretty awesome, so probably the only good thing about Renault apart from his backstory, which you could only see through sheer guy dang it means. I mean, he joins he joins immediately before the final chapter, and there actually is enough time to get him up to an A support with one character in a playthrough, but you can only do that with one character per playthrough, and you need to unlock an obscure side quest that I think is Hector only.
You're alright.
But if you do that, you find out he has an incredibly extensive back. It's just so weird that they... I'm going on a massive tangent here, but what else can I talk about when fighting this huge hordes of enemies? It's so weird that they gave a character who only joins one chapter before the end of the game probably the most intricate and complex backstory, not just in Fire Emblem 7, but in the Fire Emblem series as a whole.
Time to even the odds.
Anyway, while we're on the subject of reminiscing, I can probably also talk about how I thought that Fortify was pronounced Fortirity when I first saw it. Don't ask why, it was just another one of my weird pronunciation phases that I went through when I was younger. So I was always like, Fortirity!
Predictable.
Game over.
I also thought for the longest time that the physics staff was actually pronounced Psychic,
Just as planned.
which actually sounds cooler to me. I would always call it the Psychic staff. Probably my years of playing Pokemon there. Of course, the annoying thing about Armor Slayers is they're fairly weak against any enemies that aren't armored. Longku, why didn't you dual strike there? Your skill stat is massive. You, by all rights, should be dual striking. I'm also not sure why it's like, so normally the 3 highest ranked non-legendary tomes for each of the elements are, I knew that would hit for some reason. Yeah, normally the 3 highest ranking spells for each of the elements are Thoron for Thunder, Bolganone for Fire, and they kept both of those, but Wind's highest ranking, and that was exactly what I was afraid of. Have I mentioned that Yarne is one of my favorite characters in this game? I know a lot of people don't like him, but when he's not being hilarious for me, he's being amazing.
You have my gratitude.
Because when Yarne stops being kind of a scaredy cat, he is insanely awesome. Some of the things that he does in support conversations are just incredible. And he's often amazingly powerful in gameplay as well. He, just due to how good Pan's growths and caps are, he generally tends to be one of the most powerful second-generation characters most of the time. And I really could use an Ether on Lucina right about now. Okay, that's good. But, yeah. Due to the kind of things that Yarne's done in a lot of my playthroughs, Yarne's kind of a minor mimetic badass for me. I'm probably the only person who thinks of him like that, but just, Yarne has been so awesome consistently every time I use him that I've basically invented a series of meme facts for him. Like, for example, my personal theory about this game is that when all of the children time traveled from the future, there was a mistake in the time travel, and Yarne was accidentally sent back to the time of the dinosaurs. Now, he got face to face with the dinosaurs, of course, he freaked out and yelled at them, "No, you go extinct!" And they did. Yep, it wasn't a meteor that killed the dinosaurs, it was Yarne the bunny. And Lucina can now use legendary swords, even though she kind of already is using one. Speaking of Yarne the bunny, I would like a dual strike right about now, otherwise I'm not going to one-round this guy. Dual strike! Thank you! No! Oh! Yarne, why'd you do that after I was talking about how awesome you were? It's like the game knows. And again, it's times like these when I wish that, that's good. It's times like these that I wish, like Fates, you could see the support unit's accuracy, because that way I would have known just how high his chance of hitting was. Anyway, something that I was saying before, did they just get attacked by... Wait, okay, this isn't a Valkyrie. Yeah, I thought they wouldn't get hit by 3 Valkyries. Anyway, I was saying something before that I got cut off. Well, not A rank, because they changed the rankings up in this game. The highest ranked non-legendary wind tome is usually Tornado, but for some reason they made it Rexcalibur in this game, which is bizarre because Rexcalibur was actually, as you can see here, Rexcalibur was actually a legendary spell in Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, although it was unused in Path of Radiance. It was still there in the data, you just couldn't get it. So, don't know why they actually did that. Anyway, I'm going to not make the same mistake this time. I am going to equip the Beast Killer on Sully. But yeah, not sure why they went and changed the name of it to what used to be a legendary spell. Oh, that's completely unnecessary, sadly. Don't know why Luna makes that big sort of sparkly noise, though. You will learn to dread that sound on Lunatic Plus difficulty, because they just love... And that's a one-shot! Donald one-shotting promoted enemies. I mean, I know they're mages, but still, wow. That Valkyrie didn't just say, "Why me," did it? because if it did, that would be kind of sad. I don't have enough people over on this side, but most of the enemies are clustered around that other side. Now, the thing is, the two bosses are actually going to start moving soon. It's only turn 3, but most of the enemies are already mostly gone. Most of the enemies are mostly gone. You see, now would be a perfect time to use Yarne to get the enemy here, but actually, I think he'll be safe from everything else. 79 is not all that great, though. Oh, I love that synchronized transformation. Got to see it even more in my first playthrough, because in that one, female Morgan was a Targwell, so that was pretty awesome. Oh, really? Not quite. Actually, one thing that I haven't explained about Yarne yet, he's one of the few children that, so all of the children start out with 2 skills from their base class. Now, normally their skills they would have had at level 10 in that class anyway, so it's not like it really, means anything. But with Yarne, it's actually quite special, because normally he wouldn't learn... Ah, I love that quote! Yeah, Yarne has some really good quotes. Buddy kick!
That was tasty.
And double level up! Anyway, Yarne normally wouldn't learn Beastbane until level 15, but he has it at level 10. Only the Targwell and Manakee children do that, actually. Yarne should always stop being so anxious because he's insanely powerful. Just look at his stats compared to his mother's. He's less than half of her level, and his stats are already almost as high as hers are, so... yeah, he's pretty amazing. Have to be careful of that Swordmaster, though, because I don't want... Lisa wouldn't get double by him, though, which is interesting. I think right about now... I think it's actually safest if Gary Stu stays in. Yeah, definitely safest if Gary Stu stays on. Even though Mary Sue is lower level than him, which usually is quite rare that the avatar gets relatively low leveled in this game, but it happens when the one showing them up is Gary Stu.
Time to even the odds.
Ignis crit? No.
My turn.
Oh, that's bad.
Amateur.
Yeah, by the way, get used to Morgan activating Ignis from now on, because with Rightful King and his skill
Just
stat,
as planned.
Ignis rate is pretty much off the chart right about now. Actually, Lonku has better defense, but slightly less evasion. And, okay, one of you has an axe, so you're no threat at all. And I actually want to trade over the not Worm Slayer, the Armor Slayer, just in case. And use it here. Haven't actually given Lonku a lot of screen time lately.
How well will you die?
Owain has his tendency to outclass him most of the time. Though embarrassingly, I think Cyree actually outclassed him as well in my first playthrough. And she actually kind of is now in terms of strength. Lonku does have better skill and speed though. Okay, now if I fortify, that's going to get everyone, isn't it? Good. Fortify Staff is really useful at times like this. And I can pretty much safely unlock their ranges now. Oh wow, Lucinda's evasion is so much higher than Crom's right now. Although Crom's is not all that much lower. And yeah, they're both the same level, so no real point in choosing who to use here. And that rapier only has one use left. Now I'm gonna say, is it okay to equip a lance here? Oh right, yeah, no, she needs the rapier bonus to be effective against all his enemies, so I'm gonna leave the rapier on her for now. And let's end the turn. Next turn, almost everything here is going to be dead.
Back off.
But there begins the slightly difficult thing where I'm actually going to have to attempt to get all the villagers before the two bosses kill themselves. I might have to use some unequipped characters to do that, actually. That way I delay the boss's deaths for a while I finish getting the villagers.
You can do this.
Yeah, absolutely no chance of hitting it all.
As one.
Okay, only one use of the rapier. If this uses an ether, no it's not.
My sword twitches.
Okay, Lonku, show 'em what you got.
I'll make this quick.
Needed all 5 hits, but that was pretty stylish. Oh yeah, something that I should mention about how Swordmasters look in battle in this game. Well, firstly, they have 2 swords in sheaths, and yet they never use any of those extra swords.
Success.
And even their battle sprite shows them dual wielding, even though they can't actually do that in the game. The other thing is, in Sairi's supports with the avatar, she mentions that the armor that she wears is unique to Chon-Sin. There's a bit of a problem with that, though, and that's that if you promote a Wayne or if you reclass anybody to Swordmaster...
Have you made your peace?
I love the rearing up that the horses do when they activate their skills in this game. And that slow motion shot there. Though I hope no other magic uses attack her. But anyway, yeah, anyone who reclasses to Swordmaster, or
I challenge my fate.
a Wayne who clearly isn't from Chon-Sin, although he does have Chon-Sin ancestry in my playthrough, they will wear that armor even though it's supposed to be specific to one country, so, yeah, gameplay and story segregation there. Yeah, I had a feeling you'd do that.
Over there.
Provided that you don't hit, and I really shouldn't have said that. Okay, that's good.
This'll do it.
Wow, she's activating Luna all the freaking time now.
Save some for me.
I'm in your debt.
And she's your mother. You don't need to be in her debt. Looking out for you is what she's kind of meant to do. Also, they're almost certainly going to unlock a support after this.
Get it together.
Have you made your peace?
Well, that's a lot of Lunas.
Impossible.
Are you ready?
Careful or, you might just steal the show from the characters who are supposed to be.
You will not stop.
Although I'm pretty sure Lucina's going to be getting the MVP here.
Good.
I sort of needed to, because without abusing her here, I don't think I would have been able to finish this chapter this early in the game. Now, this turn, the bosses are going to start moving, so I'm going to want to go after those villagers now. And actually, I may want to try and move Crom and Lucina into getting those villagers. Though I might actually have to pick off one of these generals right now, otherwise, because I'm actually really wanting... I want to actually save as many of these ones for Yarne as I can, but I've got to be careful, otherwise he might end up being brutally slaughtered. You know what? Try using the Bronze Lance here. This will be funny if I get an
I've got
Ether.
your back. Face me. Think again. My turn.
Our bonds are strong.
Yep, still one-rounded, even with a pathetically weak weapon. And you're probably going to get one-rounded too. I get the feeling that if both of those things hit Yarne, he may die. And he can't even reach them anyway. If only we had someone with rally defense here, that actually might be useful. For now, though, I might have to Donnie kill one of these guys. Yeah, Donnie kill is a word for when this happens. Anyway, it's a word that I invented in my first playthrough of the game when I was really using him earlier on. Okay. Yeah, I think Yarne will be safe here. Might need to have Chell on standby in case anything goes wrong, though. Do I already have these two on standby? Yeah, technically... I've got to be careful, I don't want to... Yeah, I might actually send Mary Sue up to this part of the map, because... I'm going to need to trade the Armor Slayer over again. Okay, so Astra activated there. That means that lethality did not activate, because lethality's activation is basically rolled for... Wow, double Astra is pretty impressive. Lethality's activation chance is rolled for before any other skills, and that makes a lot of sense, seeing as if it activates, you don't need to bother with any other skills because the enemy's dead anyway. Did you really just do that? Okay, at least Lucina thankfully has a land.
Hope will never die.
And she ethered.
Come on.
Yarne might be able to take on the Rider boss in this chapter, though. Yeah, now I want you to attack Yarne. He's not going to be doing much damage here, but hopefully, come on, lethality. Come on, lethality. He usually doesn't get it in this chapter, but he is doing more damage than Pan is, although that's probably due to pair-up bonuses. And yeah, the bosses are moving now, so I need to get all 4 of these villages before the bosses are idiots and just die, because they have a tendency to do that. So I'm actually unequipping everyone's weapons here. Well, they've almost stopped fighting. So we get an energy drop from that one. 3 villages left. And I might as well have a Wayne go up here too. Just to have more people on village duty. Now, this has only been 5 turns, and that was a lot of enemies we got through in so few turns. Yeah, here, again, lethality would be amazing. Come on, lethality. No lethality. Though if Gaia still has a bow equipped, that general is going to want to go for him, so I'll wait for now. Then I hope you head towards our characters down the bottom here. Wait, why did you do that? It's probably more damage, but oh, that was such a waste of experience. No, I wanted Yarne to get that. Ah. So, the only people left here are the bosses. And for that reason, gonna have to hold off killing them until we've got all these villages saved.
Please, I insist.
So, this is why half of these villages will be closed off to you if you side with one of them. So they give you a hammer that's good against the enemy knights. Let's just not tell him that we're actually fighting both of them. You know, thankfully nobody can dual strike if the lead unit doesn't attack. Maybe see if I can lure him in like that. And I might need Lissa down here. So nobody in his range has any weapons equipped. That's good. Oh, and I hate that he has a spear. Although, thankfully, this Aegis skill doesn't work on beast stones, which is good. We kind of already have.
Incoming foe.
That was a pretty cool looking dodge, though. That backward slide. And they pretty much say the exact same thing. It's just... I love that double transformation. Except this is going to hurt. Yeah, of course that hit. The problem is I can't just go, oh, I'll attack on the enemy phase because, well, he'll always attack from range on the enemy phases. Okay, so in order for this to work, firstly I need to rescue both of these villagers.
Hey.
Well, we've almost got them out of here, and a Draco Shield. So you're probably sensing a theme here. We've got a defense boosting item from one village, an attack boosting item from another one, an anti-armor weapon from one village, and from this village...
Please, I insist.
we get an anti-cavalry weapon. So, yeah, there's a theme here. And with that, we've got all of the weapons that we can get at this point. I mean, the village rewards. So, nothing left to do but take down the leaders of the two mercenary bands. Now, here's the thing. Wait a minute. Guess I have to stack supports a little more. He still has a 64. Why did he have less of a chance of hitting from, Anyway, the problem here is, if he doesn't miss, I actually have to kill him immediately, otherwise Yarne will die. Lethality would have been pretty awesome. And he hit. That's really annoying. And Pan didn't dual strike. That basically means that I'm gonna have to Donnie kill him unless, yeah, I am actually gonna have to Donnie kill him. I can at least do this and hope for some Yarne dual strikes for some experience. He has a 1% chance of criticalling. That is terrible. And good, he didn't. Okay, that's good. Sadly, I don't think Yarne's going to be able to actually finish him off because one more hit will kill him, so gonna have to go for the Donnie kill here. Now, I could stall long enough to have Yarne maybe take out the other boss. And Donnie's going to learn a new skill that's going to pretty much always activate from now on. Soul, so now he's even more indestructible. Oh yeah, and both the bosses have a medium bullion, so that's probably the reward they promised for working with them, actually.
You ready?
So we get to claim both rewards if we fight both of the enemies in this chapter. Let's see if I can actually have Yarne attempt to fight this boss. This is going to be stalling the chapter for a few turns, but... well, she finally got hit that time.
Hey, thanks.
Wait a minute, how much damage do you do? 23, okay. And even so much as attempting to select the attack command does, or at least just seeing how much damage you'll do with a weapon, does equip your weapon back again, so you'll need to watch out for that. Okay, everything's in position. Right. The problem with doing this is, that's a lot more damage than I expected. Yeah, if he Astras or Lethalities, that guy's gone. Actually, Yarne does exactly 0 damage. Does Gaius give him a better pair-up? Huh. That's actually kind of bad. I think if you do 0 damage, you still have a chance of activating lethality, but even then... that's really annoying. In fact, I think I'm actually going to have to... Firstly, let's just see if the event tiles have anything good. Hey, parent and child conversation. This is actually the one that's very extended, so every parent has and every child has a what's your life like conversation, and it actually goes on for quite a while. The child versions of those conversations are probably more interesting, though. And I'm probably going to have to not let Yarne finish this guy off, because, well... I think this is the longest I've ever heard the boss music go on for. Well, boss, she can do 1 damage at least. Yeah, I'm kind of going to have to go with that. Let's just go for a potential dual strike that actually won't get me any experience because he won't do any damage. Yeah, that's a full loop of the boss theme. Probably because there are 2 bosses in 1 chapter and they run off the same loop. And with that, we have defeated both mercenary groups. Got 2 bullions and all of the villagers from that.
My lord. Good. Right.
At least they give a reason for why there's so many bandits and mercenaries around. Well, this conversation's basically telling me to get on with the main story, and that's what I will be doing next chapter.
Ah. Thank you.
And we get an extra reward for defeating both groups. 10,000 gold.
You.
And another conversation for the recruitment that we just did.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well...
It's one of the few cases where they don't use rings as proof here.
Nope.
Right.
And it's conversations like that are why Pan was my waifu in my first playthrough of this game. But anyway, with that done, next time we will finally continue on with the main story. And now that we have Yarne on our side, Wildheart should be terrified. Trust me on this, he really, really should be. I'll talk about why once we get to the next chapter, where we'll actually be battling the Conqueror himself. See you then.